Hi, I'm Patricia Rubertone. I'm a professor in the Anthropology department and an anthropological archaeologist specializing in historical archaeology, which is a field that studies European global expansion in the modern era and its entanglements with indigenous peoples. My research intersects archaeology, anthropology, history, and indigenous and Native American studies, and tacks back and forth across different strands of evidence and interrogates the limits of each to shed new light, hopefully, on interrelationships of settler colonialism, cultural landscapes, and indigenous survivance. My COGIT project focuses on settler colonial cities as prime instruments of colonial dispossession of indigenous lands and as spaces allegedly devoid of indigenous bodies and histories. My argument is that settler colonial cities were not the result of one-time events that removed indigenous people from the land these cities were built upon. Rather, settler colonial cities enacted ongoing and shifting policies of spatial removal and practices of symbolic and documentary violence because indigenous people resisted erasure. Taking Providence as an example, a city, by the way, that had the third largest Native American population in the United States by the first decade of the 20th century, my project explores settler tactics of erasure and indigenous peoples' strategies of survivance in the decades surrounding Providence's incorporation as a city in 1832 to about the mid-20th century. This project builds on my book, Native Providence, that challenged the myth that modern settler colonial cities do not have indigenous histories by telling place-based stories of Native residents who were hidden in plain sight. My methodology then and now is multifaceted and draws on an assortment of records, written, spatial, visual, archaeological, and oral, and values different epistemologies. Visits to sites that I identified revealed that many places associated with the city's indigenous history no longer existed. The physical erasure of tangible evidence of lived experiences led directly to my COGIT project, in which I first examined the long-term history of urban renewal that resulted in landscape transformations and the loss of home, and address the shortcomings of historic preservation legislation designed to address the impacts of urban development on the built environment. And also, what I will do as part of this project is to explore forms of indigenous erasure, such as paper genocide, everyday domicide, including a warning out system for removing illegal residents, and municipal ordinances of surveillance and control that contributed to a racialized microgeography of the settler colonial streetscape. My research on worn out records took me down an unexpected rabbit hole, where I have so far identified about 475 persons of color who were removed between 1820 and 1840. What's even more remarkable is that many people ordered out returned again and again. I intend to continue my research on worn-outs and symbolic violence at the Providence City Archives, the Rhode Island State Archives, and the Rhode Island Historical Society, interview descendants of families affected by urban renewal, and investigate sites reclaiming indigenous visibility, all with the aim of producing an article and chapters for what I hope will be a forthcoming book.